Chief Goyette, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call a meeting to
Is
order.
that Robert on the phone?
Yes.
Perfect. We have a full board. Glad you're here with us, Bob. I know you weren't sure.
Thanks, Dick.
I know you weren't
Yeah, I
sure.
wasn't sure.
He said he's outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, boy.
We won't hold that against him. Approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Make a motion to approve the agenda from July 8th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
We're approving tonight's agenda.
Correct.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong date.
Oh,
Make a motion to approve the agenda for July 22nd, 2024.
Second.
thank you, Mark. Any
Looking at the wrong
discussion?
one here.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Need a motion to approve the minutes for July 8th, 2024?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for July 8th, 2024.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mary Lee?
Yes. The top of page 2, it said all voted in favor, motion carried 4-0. Everywhere else is 5-0, and we were all there.
I
Okay.
may have not voted, Mary Lee. There's a few of them I didn't vote on.
Yeah, because
On the
Bob
sidewalk,
actually stated it was 4-0 on that motion.
it doesn't say that he didn't recuse himself. That's all I have.
Mark?
I'm good.
Rob?
I'm fine.
Bob?
Well, it's not a big deal, but on the first page, approval of minutes, mine says June 24th of 30/24.
Mary Lee, how did you miss that?
I don't know.
We probably should be in the right millennia. I agree, Bob. All right, I have one thing on the bottom of page 3, last paragraph, third line up. I made a motion to obligate not more than 20,000 of ARPA, not encumber. There's a difference between obligate and encumber.
What page are you on?
Page 3, last paragraph, third line from the bottom. I'm very confident I used the right terminology. Anything else?
Change encumber to obligate next?
Correct, because that's what you do with ARPA money, you don't encumber it. And
Okay.
I don't think in the grand scheme of life it makes a huge difference, but if the right lawyer gets hold of it, we don't want to go there. Anything else from the board? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Citizens' comments, items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone on Zoom, Mike? No, all we have is Bob.
No, we have Jeff Davidson's on too.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. I gotta look at the list, not the little boxes. Allison's on as well?
Yep.
Okay, seeing no citizens' comments, we're gonna move on to the vehicle replacement proposal for the fire department. Chief, do one of you two want to speak to this? Just to give you some background to the rest of the board, Rob and I met with the truck committee meeting was last Wednesday, and they have spent a lot of time working on a replacement for the elderly engine 5, which is what, an 83, 85? 87. Well, it's been around for a while, and how many people know how to run it now? 2 or 3? And 3 of them are in this room, right? Well, maybe 4. That's item 1. Item 2 is the slide out for a UTV that's also in this slide out is for the UTV, correct?
Yes.
And a 6-wheel UTV, a 6x6 UTV is what's being proposed. So Heath, you want anything to throw anything in there?
This is going along with our replacement schedule that's been vetted and redone for years and through all the safety committee. And when we were working on the engine 6 replacement, the safety committee at that time was you, Dick, and Jim, and brought up the idea of using ARPA money to replace, to keep us caught up, because with the price that engine 6 went up since we started that project, the sinking fund isn't there to keep up with our replacement schedule. So that's where we're here today. We talked to you and Rob before at the safety thing, and you asked us to get a committee together and go out and look at this. That brings us here tonight.
Just to give everyone some background, going through the truck replacement schedule, you've all seen it at some point in time. If we do this, and then we'll also have to get a trailer to go with this to house the Cascade unit and haul the UTV and the ice water rescue stuff, brush truck, etc. This will replace the van and the current engine 5 now. And what the ultimate plan would be, this would get us set with really state-of-the-art equipment now or this year. And then we should be good for about 10 years before we have to do something with engine 3. And by that time, we should have money in the reserve account to actually either refurbish or replace that truck. Questions?
So just so I have this clear, the newly purchased ladder truck,
Yep,
it's a Quint, I guess,
Sequent
replaces engine 2
and the
And-
ladder. And the ladder truck.
and the ladder,
Yep,
and then engine 6, or engine 5,
engine 5
the F550.
would be replaced with the pickup and the UTV, basically a combination of the two,
With the skid unit for
with the
that.
skid unit and the UTV.
Okay, I missed some. Oh, no, the Quint replaced the ladder truck.
Yeah, and engine 2. That was the ultimate plan with that, is to take the ladder truck and engine 2, replace it with a Quint, which is
But there's another new truck that's all ordered.
engine 6 replacement.
Is a direct replacement, Mark.
Direct replacement for engine 6.
Okay, that's a direct replacement. And this is, engine 4 is now a brush truck.
No,
5.
5 rather.
5.
Is a brush truck, and you'd get rid of that
Yep, and the van,
and the van,
We
because you
do-
don't use the van.
the pickup and a enclosed trailer with a UTV in it.
So the ultimate goal is to reduce the fleet from 7 to 5 vehicles.
Besides the trailer and the UTV, yeah, the main rolling stock would go from 7 to 5.
So this pickup, when you first mentioned that it had a skid unit, in my mind, I was thinking you meant a water skid unit.
No, the
But
pickup
no.
will be a flat rack utility truck, basically.
It'll just be used for equipment and for this skid unit, if
The
you had
skid
to.
unit will go in the UTV. The skid unit's built to go in the UTV.
Okay,
It's a wildland one.
to rescue a person.
Yeah, it's got rescue capabilities and the wildland, it's got a pump and water on board to use in a wildland situation.
A portable.
Portable
Pump and
pump,
hoses.
basically built onto the tank on the skid unit.
So the new engine 6 would also be a brush truck.
We won't plan on using it for a brush truck, no. It would be what engine 6 does, our rescue engine.
Okay,
The brush truck would be the UTV.
okay.
And then the new engine 5 would be, or not engine 5, new truck 5 would be used to haul the trailer
Yeah, the
that
pickup.
has the tanks to charge the air tanks,
Yeah.
to do the job that the
Van is.
van is doing right now.
The van would become the enclosed trailer that we want to purchase to finish this.
The Cascade system would go in this trailer?
Yes.
Okay.
Along with a
Ice water
generator
rescue.
and
Ice water rescue equipment. It would be basically a mobile setup unit, so you could take it somewhere, set it up. You could fill bottles. In the wintertime with the ice water rescue equipment, you could have heat and everything inside of it.
And if you get this, the department's fully up to where it needs to be.
Yep.
Engine 3 would be the next
Next
thing in
one, the
10
next
years
10 years is what's on the schedule.
that would need updating.
Yeah.
And at this point, we all believe that 10 years is realistic.
I believe the way the prices are going, it's going to be a refurbish and not a replacement, but that's I don't have a crystal ball for 10 years, and I probably won't be standing here as your chief in 10 years. So I might be with a black hat running around, but I probably won't be your chief in 10 years. But whoever knows.
Mr. Jones?
There was one other thing that the board, the select board approved, it's on the ARPA spreadsheet, and it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth thing down under emergency medical services. They approved, under first response, for a search and rescue, a skid to go in the back of that UTV, that would be for search and rescue, so it would have a place for a patient and the attendant. And that was the purpose behind it, is to be able to use this UTV as multi-purpose. Where,
Like in the wintertime, so you don't have to pump and everything on it, it's a skid unit that sits in the back of this UTV. It'll have for snowmobilers or ice fishermen or somebody that's having problems, so it's just a attendant and a thing. Justin had worked on that. Did Justin get you?
he did. It's in here.
Justin-
It's in here.
Justin because he's the head of first response, we kind of said, this is the UTV that we're gonna try to buy, make your skid unit work to this UTV, and that's what he did.
It's
Same manufacturer.
Kimtech is the same.
It's all right here,
All
all
Chemtech.
made right here in Vermont.
And we have not yet taken action on that, correct?
You obligated it, but there's been no purchase. So in the packet, if the board so chooses to move forward with this, I believe, or there should be a copy of that.
There is.
Yeah, the estimate from Kimtech for that. It's
There
a-
is.
Okay.
So it shows the base price of $29.50 without the Stokes basket or the longboard.
Yep.
Do you have a price on those?
I do not,
You're gonna need those, right?
there's a Stokes basket and stuff in the rescue boggin out here.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if because I kind of left that to Justin, because that's his wheelhouse, but I'm pretty sure that we talked that the Stokes basket and stuff that's in the rescue boggin,
Yep,
that we could,
they don't really wear out.
we would have that to use.
Because he wants to get rid of the trailer, but the stuff that he has in the boggin would be able to fit on that.
The Stokes basket and stuff would be an add-on to this.
Yeah.
And have you priced out a trailer?
We working on it. That is more difficult than there's so many more options. We are working on it, but we're in between 20 and 25,000 is what we've been looking at in trailers. It's all over the board, and we really haven't nailed nothing down yet on that, because it's just, we gotta know what we're gonna put in it before we actually finish the specking out of it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But it would have power and heat, right?
Yeah, so our generator that we currently have in the van would be permanently mounted to that trailer, so that would have power and heat that's the plan, to have power and heat inside that trailer for summer and winter conditions.
Yeah, changing beside the road into ice water rescue gear is just
Or
not
getting
cool.
out of it afterwards.
Yeah.
So you're probably gonna be more like 30, 35.
I got a price at 25 in December on one, all equipped. And we think we could mount some of the stuff ourselves and save there's enough guys here that are pretty handy that we can,
So I mean, they're pretty much right on that 125,000 when it's all said and done.
Mike
correct
and,
statement, Rob.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
yeah, Mike and I had earmarked 125.
Yeah, and I just added it up, they're gonna be real close.
Yeah.
They're just under 100 without the trailer, so.
Yeah, actually, between the truck, the slide out, and the UTV, we're looking at 92,734. For the three that the fire department is proposing right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the truck is a no-brainer. I think that other truck that's out there is not doing much use right now. And then, you know, the side-by-side, I just can't believe how much money they cost, but that is what they cost. And I think with this,
Only paid more than that. They
Yeah,
got the same one without the full enclosed cab, and they paid more than that for it.
I think with the weird storms that we've
Because
been
it was-
having,
Because it was in stock.
And the trees that are down a lot now, maybe we might need it for a rescue if we can't get the fire trucks in someplace. And we had talked, maybe about using that town property for putting bike trails in. That'd probably be something that we might
It's
need,
gonna be a must-need.
unfortunately,
That's why Polteny has theirs, is because of that bike thing, and down there, they are down there multiple times for rescues.
Well, my opinion is you only have to save one life to make it worth it. What's your pleasure, board? Any more discussion? Mark, are you ready to proceed, or do you have more questions?
No, I'm good.
Mary Lee?
I guess I'm good. You kind of lost me around the corner, but that's okay.
Rob, you all set?
I'm good.
Bob, you all set? Do you have more questions?
I'm all set, Dick.
Well, wait, I have no more questions about the equipment. Where's the money coming from?
We have, when we started the ARPA sheet, we earmarked, I guess earmark would be the right word. We earmarked $125,000 to buy this, to make because the reserve account for the fire department cannot do this.
Okay.
So if we don't use ARPA, it will not happen.
They're never gonna be able to replace that brush truck ever without using ARPA funds. That's a given.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
And back when we first got ARPA, the first thing I thought of was we'll buy a fire truck, we'll buy a police car, and we'll buy a truck for the highway. And we've done 2 out of the 3 so far. Because we need to do things that benefit the entire town. Or that's my opinion. And I know at least one board member agrees with that. So what's your pleasure, board? What do you want? Do we need are you ready to give a motion?
I would make a motion that we,
If we make a motion right now, can we only make it on what we have here in front of us?
Yes.
Okay, so we gotta have the number for that then,
There's
right?
gonna have to be 3 different motions, in my opinion. Do you agree with that, Mr. Town Manager?
Easier, yeah, it'd be a lot easier.
So we need one for the truck, one for the slide out that goes in the UTV, and one for the UTV. And we have hard numbers on all 3. That's a separate thing on the agenda, Dan. We'll get to that. I won't skip it.
so
Is
we've
the
got the truck.
51
What
tape-
about the Kimtech, high-pressure firefighting?
That's the slide out for the UTV. That's the $8,045.
Which is, must be,
Okay, so that slide out would come out to put in the rescue slide out.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, now I'm up to speed.
I have
Totally
one
make them on a
question.
neat little stand that you can slide them out a little bit, and there's legs that stand up, and you drive out from underneath them, so they're easy to put in and out. Haven't seen it work yet, but
So it works similar to a pickup camper? Supposedly?
What did you need, Mary Lee?
So is somebody ready to make a motion?
So we have 4 pieces of equipment here that we need to make a motion on.
Well, 3 on this agenda item, the 3 for the fire department. The 4th one is first response, that's a separate
Okay.
agenda item.
Okay, I would make a motion that we,
Mary Lee's still got a question here.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You got 51,690 written in. Is that rather than that?
Correct, that's the fleet price.
That's
through
still
the-
a good number, right, chief?
it was, as of last Thursday, Mike, that I emailed you, that Chuck from that does the state pricing finally got back to me and said that was the number.
for 30 days, it said 30 days. So that's the state bid price for versus the
Okay.
retail price?
And we chopped around too, just to check, and that was still our best price.
The
This
50
truck comes with a flat rack?
No, that's gonna be, that's another thing we gotta do, is a flat rack.
This is
This'll
gonna
be-
come as a cabin chassis.
Yes.
So you got another 6 grand, 7 grand?
Depends on what we put on it.
They were gonna try to use their operating budget to pay for that instead of ARPA.
Okay.
That was operating budget, wasn't it, Mike? The toolboxes and the flat rack?
Okay, I would make a motion that we purchase the 2024 Ford Super Duty F-350 for the fire department, and that we purchase the Kimtech brush slide-in unit for $8,045, and the Can-Am Defender for $32,999.
You gotta give a price on the truck.
For $51,690.
I asked you to say where we're buying them from. Can you include where we're buying them from?
Oh, okay. Let me start over.
Just those three items. The other one is a separate agenda item.
Yep. I make a motion that we purchase 2024 Ford Super Duty from McGee Ford of Montpelier for $51,690. Do you want three separate?
You can do them all in one.
And a Kimtech firefighting skid unit for $8,045. And a 2024 Can-Am Defender 6x6 from Central Vermont Motorcycles for $32,999.
That's a
With the
motion.
expectation that we won't see the fire department in here for 10 years.
And also the funding will be coming from ARPA.
And the funding will be coming from ARPA.
I'll second.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. Any more discussion from the board? Any discussion from the truck committee?
What do you want listed as the second?
Mary Lee. Bob, are you all set?
I'm all set, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the
Thank you,
second,
board.
next thing on the discussion is the rescue equipment purchase for Castleton First Response. That's also in the same, well, it's right, it's the next thing in your packet. It's the Transport Base MTB 101.
This is coming out of the, what was it?
ARPA for 25, it was only 2,500, so the rest will have to come out of their operating budget.
Okay.
Or unless you want to approve all 2,750, or 2,750.
Their operating budget will handle the 250, correct?
Correct.
So is there, do we have a motion on this for discussion?
I will make the motion to approve one Medialite Transport Basic MTB-101 from Kimtech Corporation for the sum of $2,750, 2,500 of which will come out of the ARPA budget. Did I do it right?
Yeah, I think so.
Where's the other,
For first
For
response,
first response.
where's the other 250 come from?
their operating budget. Their operating budget. First response is operating budget.
Okay, but I'm showing a price here of $29.50.
But then
And you
they-
made a motion for,
But there's $200 off right there for less of Vermont Department.
okay, I don't have
discount.
that page.
Oh,
It's the front page.
That's 27.
Okay, yep.
You don't have the front page, Mark?
I just have the page that shows the.
Look at the front page.
Go back.
The bottom of the front page.
Yep, I do. I'd second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Bob, you all set?
I'm all set, guys.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you for Justin.
You're welcome, Justin. Chief, you're up. Police Department, update?
Fire Department, thank you very much. We really appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you. Good evening, Board.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
All right, we got a lot to cover tonight, right? Okay, let's go over the June calls of service on June 22nd monthly report. I mean, our entire call volume did go up by 30, actually about 27. As you can look through them, with the exception of the citizen assist, which we did 17, and that covers a variety of things. That covers people asking questions about laws, could be landlord-tenant where they may not be in a dispute, but for questions on it, it could be anything. Education sometimes. Really, everything's about equal for the most part. I don't see anything that stood out. I looked it over. I mean, the sex offender registry check, we do those quarterly, so we're not gonna do those until fall. Any questions on the service calls?
Yes.
Mary Lee?
Suspicious person circumstances, are that vagrants or?
No, it could be a combination of things. Could be somebody in a store that's acting strange. It could be somebody that's loitering, although we do have a loitering call, an actual type of call, so that would be under that. Could be people calling in, a car's driving by their house 5 times. Could be anything without, may not be a crime, maybe just for us to check it out.
Okay, thank you.
Some of those may have turned into something. But we get a lot of suspicious person circumstances. I mean, that's a pretty common thing we get on a monthly basis. A lot of people call, people stop by, just concerned about, you know, people around their neighborhoods and such, cars. Any questions on that, Bob? Anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Arrest, about the same, just one more up. Let's see, 2D we had in June. Everything else kind of equals out there. Fugitive from justice, so that was from a stolen vehicle situation. I think that was Ed's case, where it was a fugitive that was wanted in another state. So we had to do the packet for that. I don't know whether they actually took that person or not. Because they have to have our state's attorney has to agree to it, as long as it meets the criteria under Vermont law, where the other state may not need that requirement, but you can't just bring somebody over to the border and drop them off. You have to do it that way. So it's a whole different type of packet that we have to do. Let's see what else. Nothing really Any questions on the arrests? Traffic violations, our stops are keep going up as the summer goes on. Probably seeing us out there more. Summertime always brings out. I know that we had some complaints. Justin told me about Blissville. Anytime they pave a new road, it's like kid in a sandbox. They got to go up and down. I know that we've had a number of directed patrols since they came in. I had Naj do one tonight. I know that Ed was there today a little bit. We're trying to do hour blocks here and there. But most of the complaints that come in are normally after 4. It's usually the what we call the high impact time. From 3:30 right till about 7, people call about everything. And that's usually the time people are going home, people are going, road rage incidences and such. But that goes along with a lot of roads. We've also had some directed patrols up in Drake. I know Justin, I think he stopped a couple on Blissville, and they were one was where a water bottle was on a car. She didn't know it was there and it fell off. Somebody thought it was thrown. It wasn't. He stopped her, and then there was a local person that was speeding. And anything on those, on the violations for traffic violations? Nothing there. We'll keep going. Calls of service. Those suspicious person circumstances in June are in reference to those car issues where people got their cars where they were unlocked and went in. Theft complaint came from there. That was in June. And backup provided, as you can see that in June, mostly for the Fairhaven, 1 to Polteny. Okay, now we're gonna get into some of the stuff, we talked about. Because I brought a bunch of stuff to answer some questions on the crime rates, how they've changed in Vermont, especially in the last couple of years. Yeah, stolen vehicles. Those were that one of them was a fugitive. The other one was just abandoned, and then we ended up getting it towed. Next page, the theft, so the unlocked cars. So that's one thing we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. So I don't know what else to tell a lot of people. I mean, if they're unlocked, in today's day and age, you just can't leave your cars unlocked. I had a citizen from Benson or actually from Orwell, who's a school administrator, got her vehicle stolen, and she lives totally in a rural area, and they didn't get the car recovered till Saturday. It got stolen Friday morning and got caught up in Essex. So
I think
they're going in rural areas.
It was out of her garage too,
Yes,
I think I read.
out of her
Singing
garage.
Cedars Road.
Out of her garage. Now, the garage door wasn't shut because they couldn't shut it. They had other stuff in there, but keys, stuff in there. You just can't do that anymore. Those days are gone. I can't emphasize that enough.
Were the keys in the car, chief?
Yep. And a wallet. But you know what? It got recovered. But prevention is going to cut down a lot of this stuff. So we talked about as you can see in paragraph 4, we go in depth on the people that were here. They were here last Friday. They were here 2 weeks ago. As you can see, we end up, in addition to that one, we also gave them 2 possession of stolen property citations, 1 identity theft, 1 unlawful trespass, and 1 credit card fraud. So 3 of them right now are outstanding until we can find this person. 1 of them. So to understand that, this is where something that people don't always understand. So all these things, with the exception of credit card fraud, are misdemeanors, which means we give them a citation. It's a piece of paper. We get a court date 6 weeks down the road.
If it's a misdemeanor, that's all you can do. You
That's all we
can't
do.
transport them.
No. I did transport the one person last Friday from Crystal Beach here because I had 2 citations. I didn't have them here. I brought the person back here, got that person, and then cut the person loose. So, I mean, we are mandated under state law to follow those protocols, so we can't do anything beyond that. Now, these particular people obviously have extensive history. So it's not just this town. It's Pittsford, Brandon, Rutland City, West Rutland, Proctor. It's a cycle, which is unfortunate. So I think the biggest thing is that telling the people to just keep their car doors locked. Don't leave anything in the car. On that. The most recent incident, which will be in the July report, was last Friday. They were in a Hubbard and Forge parking lot. Now, I told the manager there that they got to put those signs up right for no trespass, or I could have charged them a trespass there. And there was several cars that went through, and all they took was lunches.
This same couple?
Yep. So it's been 2 weeks. Didn't hear anything from them, and then Friday, I was straight out Friday. It's crazy. So, and there's other issues involved in that. I talked to the state's attorney today. I had some questions on one of the perpetrators that was charged, has some mental health issues and maybe some other physical handicaps or issues that this person may not be competent to stand trial. So then where does that leave us? You charge somebody and they can never stand trial.
Can you tell us what their vehicle was
What?
that these folks are driving?
There was a borrowed car. It was a Subaru Legacy, actually. Light green. Had a temporary plate on it. Hubbard and Ford's got some good pictures of it. It was gone by the time I got there, because I was dealing with two cars that were pawed through up in a university that morning. But I did find them out in Crystal Beach. So, that's where that stands. We're doing all we can do. We are, going to trespass them from, we're going to trespass them from, we can trespass them from Crystal Beach, properties that Castleton own. We can't trespass them on a sidewalk. We can't trespass them on public areas where we don't have any control of, unless they're doing some other crime like disorderly, unlawful mischief, stuff like that. Or driving through town, that kind of thing. Like the park and ride, if we saw them sitting down there, get issued trust. So really, the next time we see them, I think we're gonna go through all those, our properties. Crystal Beach is ours. Park and ride's ours. Well, outside of our building, because we have to take them in our building. So I'd leave this place off. Could be the town hall. Could be transfer station. Could be all those. So, that's something I'll talk with Mike about, but that's kind of like my game plan. What we can do. And they're all over, I mean, we're not the only town. There's other towns that are, they have said some pretty intense things about these people, so everybody knows them. Let's say that much. They're well-known people.
A question for you.
Yes.
If I were to put up a no trespassing sign, would that give you more power?
Yeah. But with your property, you gotta space them out enough where
Oh, I just
someone
gonna
have that.
put it on the barn.
No.
Okay.
You should have, like, you see a lot of farmers with fields, they'll put them out like maybe every 20 yards. They'll just put a stake. When you got a big, it's hard, but you could definitely put some, maybe like 2 by your driveway, maybe 1 on the, so they could see it both ways.
I have a hard time even locking my car.
Yes,
I
you
wasn't-
do,
I wasn't
Mary
brought
Lee,
up that way.
and locking your
I'm
door.
better. I'm better.
All right. I don't want to get a call there. Trust me. Any other questions on that piece? Bob?
Yeah, I got one question before you walk away from that podium.
Oh, okay, so I'm not finished yet, but I just was talking about that particular item there, that's all. You want to throw it at
I'm
me?
good on that for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Go ahead.
Just wanted an updated police, I want an updated police officer's roster. I heard we have a new police officer on the force.
We do, we have Josh, he's been here he's been here a year. I meant to bring Naj in actually tonight. That's what that's what I needed to do. To bring Naj in, because he had finished the academy in 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago.
Well, that's not a bad idea, Pete.
I know, it's my fault. I had full intention, and I just realized it in the beginning. I'm sitting here going, yeah, and I even told him that, actually. I could probably text him and he can come over here. Well, before I finish, because I still got a bunch of stuff I gotta go over.
Take a picture of him, but I don't see him through my phone, so.
That's right, you can't, yeah, that's right. What? Don't you have a smartphone, Bob?
I do, but I ain't smart enough to be able to do that. The phone's smarter than I am, trust me.
It's getting harder. All right, as we go through this, as you can see through the notes, I don't want to go through everything. We did do Castleton Cares, 85 households, so we'll do that again in the fall. Animal control complaints. Oh gosh, I gotta go on that one. So, we've been dealing with a couple of them. So I did have a dog bite, by the way. I had a dog bite, got that investigation done. I gave a warning to the person. The dog was actually on a tethered line, but it just went 2 feet over off the property. So I felt a warning was advisable. It had rabies, it was registered, so I was satisfied with that.
Had rabies or had rabies vaccine?
Yeah, I should say. Had the vaccine.
Bit somebody
Was
good.
vaccinated.
And all
was
checked.
registered. We also been dealing with the whole goat thing on School Street, so let's see. So we've been documenting, let's see, 5 times. Last week, we didn't get any. And then I had talked to the chairman recently, and it was good. I saw the fencing, I went down there, saw the fencing, and then he just had the time to put that back up more. It was better fencing. So then Saturday, I get a picture from Miss Lester, and I got another one on Sunday, so I sent an officer. Saturday, my officer was too busy to get down, so he didn't get down there. Sunday, Ed went down there, spoke to him, then I had him issue a first violation for first offense. It was fine. He was thankful that we were merciful in the time, because he could have had that three times ago. So we already told him what the violations are gonna go to, and then after 3, it goes to $500. He did
Per incident, per day, right, or per incident?
per incident. So, Bob,
Yeah,
you're still the fence viewer, right?
yeah.
You wanna go down with me, take a look at the fence, and, I'll
I've
go.
already been down there, but I'll go with you, yeah.
No, did you already look at it?
I did.
Did you talk to the people there at all?
No, I didn't think it was appropriate right then and there.
Okay.
I would rather do that with you there.
Yeah, that's good. So I will reach out to you when you get back at some point. We'll go down there. I'll introduce you to the people, take a look at the fence.
Okay,
It'll be all right. It'll be good.
okay.
Just an update on the animal control officer. I got another call from the landlord, so she's gonna put everything in storage. Well, in part of that stuff that he left behind are the stuff that we bought him. Now, I don't know exactly what the inventory was, Mike. I'll have to sit down with you. There's a coat, there's, the pole with I don't know if we bought him that. Did we buy him, traps?
Yep,
Did we buy him any, kennels?
yes.
Okay. So, she called me about it, and I said, absolutely. So she's got to wait the 60 days before she moves it into storage. I told her that when she gets to that point, either you and I are go down there and look at it, and we'll secure that stuff, so we don't lose it.
Some of the stuff's in the shed behind the town office.
I don't know what the whole inventory was. I wasn't sure on that.
We can get that.
Do we have to wait the whole 60 days since it's town property?
Well, that's a funny thing. It happened, an incident 6 years ago, 7 years ago. There was an individual left some state property on private property, residence. Person moved out, and that person didn't want to release that property because it was on his property and the guy was using it. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that with her. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's not gonna be able to move it until it's in her possession, the 60 days. Then once it happens, then we can go ahead and secure it.
Can we get it while she's unloading the house, or does it have to go into storage?
No, we'll get it beforehand. I told her to keep it separate. Set it aside.
We know we don't have the best of relationships with that person, so.
I'll go through, I'll deal with it. That's fine.
Can we move on? That discussion is actually,
sorry.
could be had offline.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Any questions on the report?
I have none.
I'm good.
I'm fine.
All right, so one thing, I want to go over a few things. So we talked about, one of the things that I was told that some people want some information on the whole vagrancy laws. Well, Vermont doesn't have any. It was repealed in 2018. It was considered unconstitutional to enforce a person just for vagrancy. But in May, the Supreme Court voted against a case in Oregon called the Johnson versus Grant Pass case, where they said, voted 63, that the towns could enforce vagrancy on their lands. Have to be the town's lands, or, obviously private lands, it's a different situation. So that came out. So I don't suspect that Vermont would change the law. Could we incorporate an ordinance? It's not my goal. It's not my goal to put people, to charge people, because it would be a misdemeanor to give them a piece of paper and show up at court, move them, and then they're just gonna move around and just keep moving around. I don't wanna get in the business doing that. Do I think we have a huge vagrant problem? No. The transients that we've been dealing with are the same people that we deal with this summer, outside of one or two, but even then, they didn't get arrested. So, we don't have any encampments that we have to move. If we had an encampment, this would authorize us to move it, to shut it down, if there was an encampment on public land. Because that was where that case came from in Oregon. So, police overall don't want to arrest people that are vagrant. They'd rather move them along, not have them camp there, versus charging them with a crime. Now, there's trespass crimes like we've used, and there's theft, larcenies and stuff like that we can use, disorderly conduct, stuff like that we can use no matter what. It doesn't make a difference whether they're vagrant or not. So those are laws that we use now to deal with that. Any questions on that piece? I do want to go over a couple of crime statistics. Now, under the, you remember, Mike, you used to use that, you brought up that safe city or safe, it's a website, they determine what the safe is. Well, Castleton used to be pretty rated up there, but that's not part of the top 5 anymore. Depends on the population. But, just to let you know, the stats that I got, and I've got, it's called GetNux. It collects all of the crime stats from the FBI, the Vermont Crime Information Center, and other agencies that collect that. Rutland's crime rate is 50% higher than the Vermont average. So we're getting that from, some of that stuff is coming from, I don't want to blame Rutland, but some of that's in this area. And you know what city has the highest crime rate in Vermont? Take a guess.
Montpelier.
Nope. Who said it? Someone said it back there. Burlington.
Yeah.
So, and that's a combination of things too, so. Where's I looking here? So, Vermont's property crime rate is 37% lower than the national average. And the highest percentage of crime in Vermont, and guess what that is? Nope. Larceny, theft count for 78% of, or which are property crimes, count for 78% of our, which is true. Legislation's got to change. I mean, there's things, that's political stuff that's got to happen. I've talked to a couple of representatives up there. It's tough for them. They want to change some of the stuff because you've got a strong advocate for the homeless where they'd rather house them and feed them and stuff like that, which is nothing wrong with that. But when you're using a lot of money and taking a lot of resources to do that, it's huge. But that's something that the voters got to deal with. Any questions on anything I covered? I know it's a lot. Yes, sir.
No, is there anything from the board?
Just my comment, I hope you continue doing a good job of moving those folks along.
Yep.
Making this an uncomfortable community for them to steal from.
Roy, you have a question?
My question is that on these people that are moving around to Pittsburgh and Brandon and whatnot, they each are handed a citation, a written citation. Isn't there some type of a law that if you accumulate so many of those, that they can take the state's attorney and charge them with some larger crime?
Well, there has to be a lot of them. I mean, they had that one case in Rutland City, Rutland Town, where this person was shoplifted, retail theft. I want to say, I think he got arrested, this person, 30 times in 4 days. I think that was a case they took upon themselves. This hasn't reached that. So the only thing you fall on is if they have, when you do a criminal records check, if they have multiple failure to appears for their court dates, then that's sometimes you can take them right to court. If it's during the daytime, if not, then they would go to Marble Valley until the next day to go to court, if it's after 4 o'clock. So those are things I think eventually would catch up with people like this for sure.
I think it's bail that had changed, Roy.
Bail reform?
Yeah, that if, right, I think the district attorney in Rutland now, if you have 3 felonies, so if a felony is not a threat to a person, there's no bail required.
Violent crime,
But now if
yeah.
there's 3, I think they can require bail.
Yeah, usually domestic violence. Violent crimes where it causes harm or serious injury to people you'll get bail, especially domestic violence. The one that that Justin got 2 weeks ago on one of the parties here was a felony because of the amount of fraud that was done from a credit card. So the judge agreed to, with the state's attorney, agreed to amount, and he stayed in until Friday night till Monday morning. But then, they go to a hearing, they plead not guilty, and then they get conditions and they leave. So.
Anything else, Chief?
No, that's it. Hope I answered everybody's question.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just the 40-mile-per-hour zone, I noticed the signs have not been changed to 35. You have any updates on?
I don't. I'll email her, and I can check with Jeremy too, because they're the ones probably would be doing it, so I'll follow up on that.
And then, the last thing is, while you're still here, I'd like to thank, Chief Mantello, Chief Goyette, and his crew, Friends of Rec, and the volunteers that made the parade and the fireworks happen this year. So I want to just publicly thank, because I'm not sure if anyone knows all the people and the entities that are involved with it, but if I miss somebody, Chief, you can, but those are the ones I know.
I got to send an email. I haven't done that yet, but I do have to send an email. There's a lot of people that put a lot of work in there. We'll be better next year. The rain held out literally minutes before it started. It was crazy. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
So the next item is setting the tax rate, which unfortunately we have not got the homestead rate from the state yet. I don't know what the entity is. What's the State Department this sets at?
Department of Taxes.
Department of Taxes. We've got the non-homestead rate and we have our municipal rate, but we do not have the homestead rate, which it's possible and perhaps even likely that we will get that on Wednesday of this week. And in order to minimize the impact on our staff and on our taxpayers, if it's possible, I'd like to have a special short select board meeting Wednesday afternoon to set the tax rate. We need a minimum of 3 people that can attend, and it doesn't have to be in person, it can be done via Zoom or phone.
It would have to be after 6 for me.
Okay, what about you, Mark, on Wednesday?
Give me 1 sec.
Mary Lee? Where are you on Wednesday, Bob?
Still in Philadelphia, but I can zoom in.
Yeah, so we may need you to do that if unfortunately,
Okay.
if the state does not provide us with a homestead tax rate by this coming Wednesday, they won't do it until the subsequent Wednesday, because they only do it on Wednesdays. Yeah, you can shake your head and wonder why this is the way it is, but this.
I'll be there.
Pardon?
I'll be there.
Okay, so if we get a tax rate on Wednesday, we're gonna warn a meeting tomorrow, and we'll warn it for, is 6 gonna work, or do you want like 6:15?
6:10 would be good.
6:15. Will that work, Mark?
I'll make whatever work.
I can make 6:15 work, Mary Lee.
Huh?
So Bob, it's likely we'll have a special meeting at 6:15 on Wednesday to
Okay, just that?
to set a tax rate, but if that does,
Okay.
but we won't know that.
Send me the information.
Yes, but we won't know that until Wednesday,
No.
unfortunately.
Are
Okay.
you going to cancel it if you don't get it?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Now, when do you think you'll know whether we have it or not, Mike, on Wednesday?
They got all day to There's a letter I put in your file that, that Medger got from PVR, from for the taxes. And basically, I believe you should have a copy of it there. I think I gave all mine away, but, yeah, I gave mine away.
Well, we'll
So
know by
when
5
we know.
o'clock, right? If it hasn't happened by 5, it's not gonna happen, Mike?
Pretty much, probably by 4:30.
Okay. So at 4:35, Mike and I will get together and make it, and if we can call the meeting, we'll do that, and if we can't, we'll make sure you
Yep.
guys know as soon as possible that the meeting will be postponed for a week.
I did provide the select board with a copy of the draft right now. The municipal tax rate, if you're looking at it, under A, there's a little A on the far left side, it says, and then in the blue, it says municipal amount to be raised by taxes. You see that line? Mm-hmm. That number right now is good. The rate is good, but what's not good is if you drop down to B under the local tax agreements, that's where we're missing, and the number that we plugged in there is, it kind of holds true in what happened the last couple of years, but we don't know that for a fact. So that's what we're missing. That number, the homestead rate, will help determine, I'm sorry, in your packet, in this thing, what it's called, is the second page in your packet that I gave you. The local agreements, there's a breakdown that Melanie had done, and how you come up with that $28,000, or if you look back to a previous year, how she come up with the $27,134.19. And you look at the veterans homestead stuff, both for homestead and non-homestead. That's the breakdown. So I need that from Mary Jo, the assessor. So we don't have that right now. We looked today, we don't have it yet. So if we get this by Wednesday, we'll be all to work together and get the rate, the numbers that you need to be able to, or I'll need to fill out the rest of this form and present you a fully filled out form. But if you look at the A and you follow A across to the rate of 0.5573, and you compare that over the 2023-24 rate, you can see that that's about a 8.31 cent difference.
So we cannot do this tonight. So we're going to,
I would have, you can't do all three of the municipal ones, so I just wait till Wednesday if you could, and we can have all three of that filled out.
and assuming we get the information from the state on Wednesday, we can have a meeting Wednesday night and nail this down. Otherwise, we're gonna have to wait a week. And I can't know that until, we won't know that until we know that.
Just let me know.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to UDR discussion. I had to, when I read your email, Rob, I liked your verbiage as far as the camper section. Has everyone on the board had a chance to read this? Mm-hmm. And I think his verbiage is well thought out and I think would work. I think the intent behind the UDR as far as how a camper can be parked on private property and for what length of time was well intended, but perhaps a little bit more stringent than what's appropriate. Like like the guy down the road from my house is in violation of the UDR, but where he's got his camper parked is fine, I think. Don't you, Mark? You drive by there.
A lot of people, the way your house is set up, that's where you have to leave it.
And so I think that Rob's verbiage is appropriate. So the question is, do we want to make this change? And if so, then it does go back to the planning commission, right, Mike? And then we have to go through the hearing process again. Which I'm okay with doing.
I have about 38 more things I'd like to talk. I was hoping someone would be here from the planning commission. A lot of them are typographical. They have said zoning administrator instead of, what is it now?
UDR.
No,
whatever.
the woman.
Zoning administrator.
No, you don't call it zoning administrator. It's a something.
Not the assessor.
She is the zoning administrator. That's
Is
the
it,
position.
well, the
we
administrative
appointed her.
officer is a term that can be, is synonymous with, so zoning, administrative officer or zoning administrator?
Administrative officer, and it still says zoning administrator in a lot of here. There's a lot of places that says something should be removed, and it's not removed. Page 8, down under, effective date, moved from article such and such. It says the UDR shall take effect upon approval of the Town of Castleton Select Board in accordance with what? In accordance with, it stops. There's a lot of little things like that. And I feel if we're going to approve something,
What
they ought
page
to
was that,
have
Mary
all
Lee?
these things fixed. Page 6.
Oh, 6.
I think it was 6.
They said 8.
Yeah, page 6, down under section 108. It's picky, I know, but it didn't say where you had to get it. And there's a lot of things throughout. Well, I got 38 pages that I have questions on. I really would like to sit down with someone from the zoning administrator, one or all, or I'll go to one of their meetings. Some of them I know are very picky, but if we're going to approve something, let's approve it 100% right.
I would agree that we should have a final copy with all the spelling and all the grammar and everything correct before we approve it.
They had said that there were some minor changes yet to be made. We should know those minor changes before we say okay.
I'm not, I agree with you completely. I'm not prepared to approve a final document until we have a final document, because I must have missed the part where they said they were gonna make some changes after we approved it.
They did it right at the last meeting they were here.
Then I have to apologize, I wasn't paying close enough attention, or something. I missed that statement.
Yeah, I was under the impression at the last meeting that we were gonna get a finalized copy, but
So what I would,
just came to
It
this.
was my impression that we were going to review this, make the changes that we wanted to, then they would update it all, delete those deletions, correct the page numbers, and then we would vote on it after that was done.
I agree with that statement.
But isn't this something that they should do, not us?
Yes, but we're supposed to make the kind of recommendations that Rob did. And then they're gonna put it back together, clean up the whole document, then send it back to us
For a final review.
for a final review and a vote. I don't believe they're expecting us to vote on this in its present form.
I agree with that.
But they didn't want to clean it all up and then have us go, we don't like this and this and this. They would like our revisions, and then they're gonna clean it up, and then, of course, we'll have to look through it again, because there could be the type of revision that you just mentioned, where they cut off half of the sentence.
Well, it took me 2 weeks, because I read word for word for word, whether it was crossed off or not. I read it anyway. There's some things that are crossed off I don't think really should be, but that's my own personal opinion. But the biggest mistakes I find are proofreaders. And I don't have a big fault to find with any particular spot. But there's one place that says zoning permits, and it's not zoning permits anymore. And then there's a place that said, where I showed it to you, it said the P was crossed out. What page? Okay.
So maybe it would be beneficial when we get ready, when we send it back to them, Mary Lee, for you to sit with
I
them
would
just
like to
to,
sit with them and show them what I think. They're typographical. They're page 13.
just because we all miss stuff even in the minutes sometimes, you know, we read through them.
I'm not saying I caught everything. But
You caught more than I did.
look at page 13. You've got, up under the articles, the table of uses. You've got P and you got it crossed out. Now go down through accessory on farm business, that's all permitted. And all these, it said to cross off the Ps, and for the next 2 pages, there's Ps all over the place. But according to this, there shouldn't be any Ps, they should be all crossed off. I think they did it by mistake, I don't think it's supposed to be crossed off.
What I'm gonna suggest is that, I'll get a hold of the planning commission chair tomorrow and see if we can arrange for you to sit with somebody from the planning commission, whoever's actually doing the editing on this document,
Okay,
and then the two of you can hammer out most of this, and then, the planning commission can create a final product. I do believe that we should recommend that they change section 712 to Rob's verbiage.
like
Does anyone
Rob's.
agree with that?
Absolutely.
like we had a motor home that in May, wasn't behind the house either. We plugged it in. Nobody lived in it, but when we were ready to go, the refrigerator was full of stuff, or the freezer. And they had said you couldn't have it plugged in.
Well, I had to tell you, there's an RV in my backyard. It's parked behind the house in my driveway, but it's plugged in right now. Because we're loading the fridge soon, because we're taking off in a week.
And the thing of it is, you don't take we didn't take everything out, your mustard, your ketchup, your whatever, or anything that's in the freezer.
We don't
You
either.
take it in and out every time. I
Well,
do-
there's lots of contractors' trailers out there that are the same dimension as a camping trailer, and some are plugged in and some are not. And some are stored out front, and some are stored out back. I mean, a lot of places, if a contractor has a 20-foot trailer he uses for work, and he has a house on the back of his lot, he can't park it behind the house. So,
Just coming from my house to 4A, there's 2 trailers, neither would have passed before. One parks on the side, but it sticks out to the front because they pack it back as far as they can. And the other's Potter's, which is side of the garage. You can't really see it. I mean, it can't bug anybody, I wouldn't think. But they wouldn't fall under the old,
They're not complying with the UDR.
right.
yeah, I agree. I think that Rob hit the nail right on the head there. I also think it's important, in the next section where he talks about, there needs to be a variance, like the folks who, in Hydeville, their house burned and they lived in a camper while they rebuilt. I mean, there has to be an exception for that.
Yeah, I think that's covered where it says a trailer so parked shall not be used as living quarters for longer than a 2-week period of time unless otherwise authorized by the DRB. So that gives them the opening. If they came to the DRB and said, my house burned down, I need to live in the trailer for 6 months, go ahead.
Fair enough.
And as soon as they could move in the house, they got rid of the RV went away, which was fine.
I also like Rob's section on the height of structures, what he wrote here at the bottom too.
I did too, so you can make that part of your discussion with the planning commission.
Okay.
We all
Now,
agreed we're gonna take Rob's suggestions on this? You agreed, you okay with that too, Bob? We're gonna take Rob's suggestions on the,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, I like them.
all right.
This could go for another 6 months. You know, there's gonna be, once we get the revised copy back, we're gonna read it again. It's gonna read a lot differently than it does right now.
It's a big document. There's a lot of stuff in
Document,
there.
And it's hard to
That's
read
gotta
a
be right.
page when somewhere between 20 and 80% of that page is crossed out or redacted, it's gonna read differently. And, I'd be very surprised if the next copy we get, we vote on and, there's probably gonna be another
Well, I
one.
think we're
hate
gonna
to
go
say
back
it,
and forth a few times before we start the public.
It's
input,
really,
but-
really important stuff. We have to get it right.
Like, we've got 143 pages, and it'll probably be half that,
Half that, yeah.
maybe.
Well, I do agree, we gotta get it right. So we'll start with that. I'll call the planning chair tomorrow, and we'll set up, we'll get that ball rolling. Roy, you have input, so I'd like you, I'm not 100% sure I understand what you're suggesting here.
Suggesting that if you have a lot, at the house, if you look at that sheet, 20% of the property is the house building, okay? So then you have the other 80% of the lot has to be free space, lawn space, okay? So I'm just saying that instead of having it the current 20, have it 25 for all your buildings combined, and that would leave you 75% of grass and lawn, which seems to be reasonable under the circumstances where we have housing crisis and whatnot. And the other thing that there's a lot of talk about now is people having tiny houses. And some people might want to have a house like this and add a tiny house to their property. And I didn't see anything in this revised thing that talks to tiny houses in terms of helping the housing crisis and so forth. So I'd just like to have this entered into the record and shown to the planning commission. And if you have any other questions, do you understand it better now?
I do, and I'll certainly pass this along.
Thank you.
But what you're suggesting, so like for a 40 or 20,000 square foot lot, you're saying instead of a 2,000 square foot house, you could have up to a 2,500 square foot house, is what you're saying, right?
You just did the figuring?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's what he's,
okay, yes,
That's
that's what I'm
correct.
saying.
so in a
Or the
40,000,
same
you
in a 40,000 square foot lot.
could go up to 5K. Is what Roy's
Yeah,
suggesting.
25% of
5,000 square foot house, a big house.
big house.
And this is probably new to you tonight, because I have been through the 20% one, and I'm not complaining about that, but I just think that under the certain circumstances we're under, that you ought to, research yourself on this.
So that's another area, page 17 on the UDR, where it talks about lot coverage, or where it gives the chart for the lot coverage. I don't know what they've got going on here, because they've got two different numbers for max lot coverage.
On village commercial,
On residential R20, they have 20%, and then under it, they have 15%,
What page are you on, Rob?
17.
oh, yeah.
Same thing with residential 40,000 R40, 15 and 10. I don't know.
Oh, I think that's non-residential.
They both say residential, though.
Lot size.
Well, I will agree with Rob, it certainly lacks clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't read it and understand what it says.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ray.
They
You're
did,
right. Thank
under
you, Ray.
village commercial, they did what Roy's talking about, sort of. They reduced setbacks, because a lot of those village commercial lots,
Well, they changed the village commercial drastically. They went from 20% coverage to 70%
Right.
coverage.
There's one other thing in there that it's a concern. I don't know if it's a big concern or not. We have a hard time filling our DBR spots. And if you read through that, you're giving them more and more and more work and taking it away from the administrator. If you read through, they're given more and more and more things that they have to approve than normal. Just a thought, because it's hard to get people in the first place.
I'll have to take another shot at this.
I'm telling you.
Roy,
I
your
like outside.
thing about the tiny house is a very good question. I hadn't thought about that, but boy, you bring up a good point there.
I put it on my sheet of questions.
Let's speak to that. I'm at the age where I should retire, okay? And I might want to rent out my old house. And if I was able to put a tiny house for just myself, you know, it might be something that I would enjoy doing rather than saying I gotta throw myself into a nursing home. You know, so that's, I just think that in terms as people get older, they think more in those terms. And I just think that something should be addressed.
I agree. Any more on the UDR tonight?
Dick, you made notations on page 17 rather, to ask them
Yes.
about the lot sizes?
I circled that too.
Well, I'm gonna put it on Mary Lee's things to list, or things to discuss with them. That page just absolutely lacks clarity, so, in my opinion. All right, so if we're done with that, let's move on to the,
We're not done. Rob had another part on there about the height of structures.
I was okay with what Rob's verbiage.
I was too.
Are you okay with Rob's verbiage?
I think that's also open-ended.
Very, but I think it's clearer than what's there now.
If you add that to what's already there, it makes it much clearer. If you add Rob's to what,
I mean, I don't think you want to have somebody build a house that's 10 stories high next to somebody else's that totally blocks everything out. And if the DRB wanted to, the way it's worded in the UDR, they could grant that. It gives them 0 to go by.
How about no severe adverse effects?
Yeah, I mean, that was gonna be, somebody's gonna have to argue what the adverse effects are.
Right, because you could make a case that almost anything would be an adverse effect.
Yeah.
but you're severe, and when I brought up reasonable,
Yeah, what's severe to some is not severe and reasonable, yeah, so it
Exactly.
falls back on that, so.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
You did,
I
yeah.
think if
mean,
we-
it's tough to define.
I think if we accept reasonable, then we need to leave this open-ended too. But this is just my thoughts. That's what I would think would be fair to everybody, but
Okay.
I mean, if it came down to it, I guess somebody could argue the adverse effects in an environmental court challenge if it really got that heated.
Right, I mean, anytime you have a variance,
There's room for discussion.
right, you have to, it's gonna be somebody's interpretation.
But I just think not giving somebody the ability to challenge it.
Okay, I'm good with it. I wanted to discuss it and see if we could come up with a slight tweak to it, but I'm good with it. If everybody's good with it.
At this point, I think if everyone is good with it, we're gonna ask Mary Lee to take this to the planning commission.
Okay.
Are we good with that?
Bob, you got Bob.
Bob, you okay with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
I'm good.
Okay, can you get that done and get back to us in 2 weeks?
Think you can get it to us Wednesday night for our special meeting?
I'm gonna call the planning chair and start the ball rolling. I don't know how
Is the
quick
police
everything's
chief
gonna
still
move.
here?
I suspect things are gonna move at the speed of town.
I think that we should anticipate that in 6 to 10 months, we'll be voting on this.
Well,
You know,
let's,
there's gonna be a couple of back and forths.
well, we'll see how much help Mary Lee needs to keep this ball rolling. And we'll provide her that help.
Perfect.
It's a possibility, Mark. Neither you nor I will be voting on it in 10
There's a
months.
possibility of that.
Dick,
Stop that.
Not this week.
Stop that.
I don't anticipate that it's gonna be in a week,
Okay.
but I'm gonna make the phone call tomorrow and start the ball rolling.
Okay.
And then you will be able to coordinate with whoever the planning commission,
Who is the,
Frank Johnson's the chair.
so I'm gonna give him a call tomorrow, and then we'll start the ball rolling, and I think there's a planning commission meeting tomorrow night, so I'll ask him to bring it up, and they can make a decision on who you need to get with. So that's
okay.
gonna be my request to him, and we'll see how it goes from there. Next item on the agenda is the West Haven Culvert, or West Crystal Haven Culvert. We've been through this several times. I went up with Mark Brown on Thursday of last week, or Friday of last week, I forget. No, it was Thursday, wasn't it?
Thursday?
And we did some measuring. We now know that our, I'm not gonna get into all the weeds right now. We know we have an easement for this property. We know that we installed the culvert in 1986. And we have since asked our attorney to draft a letter for us requesting that Mr. Kearns no longer impede the flow of water through that culvert or through the ditch leading to the culvert.
I think
So-
that's in our packets.
Yes, the letter is in our packet, and what I'm asking for is a motion and a vote on whether we should authorize the town manager to mail this letter.
I make a motion that our town manager mail this letter to Mr. Kern.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Any more discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Moving on. Managers report.
Good evening, board. In your packet, I handed out, well, in your packet, it was something I handed out. There was a letter from, it says administration at the top, and it says from John Vickery to the Castleton assessor, myself, and Karen. The board had asked if there's, to have the reappraisal company keep you apprised of things that are going on. So this is just a copy of something to apprise the board of what's going on. So does everybody have that?
Yes, or I have it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That's just so that we don't be surprised by somebody again, that we know what's getting sent out to the public.
What is an inspection letter that's going to go on my doorknob?
That-
is
Something they hang there and tell you they want to inspect your house and try to get a hold of
Try to
them.
get a schedule.
Day? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the second page in, I think.
No,
Yeah,
it's the
this is the-
second paragraph.
this
This is what they're gonna, this third page is what they're gonna leave on your door.
Okay. And I don't even have a dog.
If you'd like one, we could probably find you one.
I'm sure there's one out there that needs a home.
The animal control officer or the police department.
Mary Lee could be the new animal control officer.
All right, Mike,
I
keep
second
going.
it.
She's got the property for it and everything.
All in favor?
Let's keep going.
Barn cats?
I don't have the highlight, for some reason, I don't have the yellow highlights on my copies.
No,
I don't
mine
either.
aren't
I didn't
either.
either.
That's bull.
So I went through and looked for all the things that got changed.
All right, well, so I'm on page 1, Parsons Hills Bike and Ped Grant. Their Champlain Construction was out knocking on doors and handing out flyers starting on Friday of last week. I didn't see them around today, but they were gonna continue doing that and do some preliminary work of putting signs up. I didn't see them doing that. But the anticipation is, once the residents that live along that 1,300 feet of sidewalk are notified that there'll be some disruption to their driveways or business driveways, so residential or business, and where the alternate parking place would be for them, which is across from the community center. I said you can't start work until that's completed. So they're working on that. Once that's completed, then they are gonna start, they're gonna go fast and furious with this. It's gonna be digging and pouring concrete, digging and pouring concrete. They have a short windows with the contractor for the concrete, and their goal is to complete this in 6 weeks.
Is there anything on the crosswalk at the community center?
As of today, nothing from them, but it was pretty fast moving as far as them responding to the letter. I did reply to them with the stuff they wanted about the grant. But this seems to be right for putting that crosswalk and signs in because it's part of a grant project that they funded. So I'm hopeful that it goes forward. And worst case is if they don't pay for it, then I come back to the select board and say, they don't have a problem with putting it there, but they're not gonna do it.
Get out with my paintbrush?
We'll be out there with a roller.
Okay.
All right. But, so I'll let you know what happens in there, but it did elevate pretty quickly within a couple days of getting it up to, the right agency, the right level of the agency. Any questions on the sidewalk stuff? Okay. I'm on page number 4. And at the top of the page, C, under it says Grants and Aid Project 2024. So Griffin Road, with the exception of, what do you say?
That's done.
Yeah, they did the paving already, so.
I went by there yesterday, it's all
Yeah, so
done.
that, there was something that had to be completed there that wasn't paving, though. I don't remember what it was now.
Hydro seeding.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. I forgot you're online. Yes.
Sir.
Thank you, thank you for the save. Because I couldn't come up with what that was, so, so hydro seeding for that. So that was a grants and aid project, and I believe that the residents should be very happy with what the results came out to be for that, so, or what the results were for that. So thank you, Jeff, and your crew.
Yeah, Mark should be happy. You might be able to get the Volkswagen up to 34 now,
That's right.
going downhill.
Downhill.
As I stated in there for the new grant, I did get the fully executed grant agreement back. So there is some next steps to that, is determining what road segments to use the grant on, and then have to have a representative from V-Trans or local roads come down, and they'll say, yes, go forth and do great things. And I did put in there that Jeff had found out that the guardrails and tree removal and tree trimming can be part, and chloride. So if we're working on a gravel road and we have to do resurfacing, that the cost of the chloride can be also included in the grant. So those are all good things. So, I'm just keep going down in there. I'm under E, Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. I did talk to Jeff last week about that, and he's wants to push this to the fall. We're kind of in between, like, fall, winter, and get those signs put up. And primarily that's been on South Street. That will be on South Street and North Road. So that was the whole grant project has the layout. I haven't gone over it with Jeff at all yet, but that's something that we're going to push to the fall, but it was a grant project. I'm on page number 5 under number 2, transfer station. Well, the indent's not right on that either. So Jacob is going to be away for annual training with his guard unit starting the 26th, and that creates a little bit of an issue. I know they've been working on it. I haven't been briefed on that yet to make sure we have coverage up there. Jeff, if you have any update on that?
There's gonna be, hands on deck. I know Rio's going in tomorrow morning and Thursday morning. I spoke with Jim Bruno. He's gonna be available for coverage. He said if it was absolutely necessary, he would step in. I can be there if needed. I'll talk to Evan when he gets back tomorrow, and we can kind of go from there.
Right. Well, my goal is that we don't leave Eric, the newest employee that we have up there, alone for 2 weeks by himself, especially on the open days, the Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if we have to shift some people around to cover, we're gonna have to do that, because there's no way that he should be up there by himself, especially when you got packed bins. And so I think together we can work it all out. But I just want to let you know, if you drive through the transfer station, and somebody makes a complaint, we're working on getting coverage up there. I'm still on page 5. On number 4, the wastewater treatment facility and collection system. After all of the $2.5 million worth of work that happened down there, there was water coming up to the ground, so there was a leak somewhere near the headworks. And so the highway department went down and helped excavate that, and they found a break in a line that had been repaired multiple times. But it was right near the flushing hydrant. So they decided this time, let's just, no repairs, let's just replace the thing. So that's been repaired. Hopefully you don't deal with that for our lifetime. I'm on page number 8, at the very top, Highway Department paving. With the exception of some shoulder work, as of the time I wrote this, Blissville Road paving was completed. I think that overall, I think Wilt did a good job. We still have the normal complaints about the pitch of the driveway aprons, or not going far enough back and that kind of stuff, but Jeff has done a good job dealing with individuals as the calls come in, and there's been no blood spilled to this point. I saw some complaints on social media saying that it's been paved and the Blissville Speedway is open, and I talked to the police department about getting coverage up there, because there's a motorcycle, I guess, that's been screaming up and down that road. But they've been sitting up there different times of the day. But I don't think they're speeding. I don't think paving it is going to open a speedway, but there are probably people that will.
It's probably the same motorcycle that goes by my house on River Street.
Yeah, he's been,
Pretty confident it is. I hear him turn the corner.
Yeah, he's been going by every morning, every night at 100 miles an hour since the snow's been off the road, so
Yeah,
this hasn't changed it.
He goes by my house probably well north of 80.
Now, if we can, when the police are up there, I was talking to Justin about it, I said, whoever's making the complaint should give us times, like if it's consistent, so they know when to be up there.
On his way to work and on his way home from work.
Yeah,
I'll get times.
because that way it would help them know what time to put somebody up there
My
to.
wife told us when we were fixing the driveways about between 6:30 and 7 when she's finishing her coffee before work.
That's right.
He goes by and he's going.
I have to hear about it every morning.
That sounds about right. It's about 6:30. It's about 4 seconds from Joe's house to mine, by the way. So how fast is that? That's well north of 80.
Well,
Or if he's probably 8 seconds from Joe Howard's place to the Blissville Corners.
now that we got some more information, I'll share that with the PD, but we're not gonna go up there and poke a stick in his spokes. But we hopefully catch him. Might see him, you might not catch him.
Well, if you can get him to slow down without hurting him, that would be wonderful.
Correct. All right. I'm on page number 9, top of the page. God, those things are not indented correctly, sorry. The truck, the Dodge Ram is back in service. I wrote there that it wasn't the starter, it was some batteries. How the batteries died after the thing being moved shortly before that. But I talked to Jeff about it and said, we gotta do a better job of diagnosing things, because it was a $550 tow to get that to the dealer, and that's $550 that could have been used on something else. And then, plus the batteries and, so, he's in follow up on that and make sure that we're diagnosing stuff before we send it out, or thoroughly before it gets sent out. Didn't say they didn't diagnose it, just seems like that would be one of the things I would check first if it didn't start, was,
Put a jumper pack on it.
or put a battery, or something to test it and make sure it was,
Do a load test right at the starter.
all right. I don't know if I put it on here or not, but we did pick up that Chevy 6500 up in Montpelier last week on Friday, and that's sitting in the garage right now, and it's just waiting for its turn in Viking. Jeff gave me an update today about the tandem. It doesn't, sounds like from what he told me, that the tandem won't be here for this winter. So, at least we got 2 right now, so there's no downside to.
Warranty's not gonna start?
We won't get until it's done.
Okay, that's when it starts. Okay.
And then the 6500, I believe what he said was, could be like a month or so. But it's a nice truck. We'll see how, we did ask the dealer a lot of questions about what they've had for problems with it, and one of them is overloading it, and they showed us where the limits are for the springs, and one town overloaded and bent the axle. So we have to really be cognizant of what we're putting on that thing, or how much we're putting on it, not what we're putting on it. But Jeff's aware of it. I'm on page 11, Dewey Field, paragraph B. John Alexander has some help. I hired Rio Davidson for summer help to help John get through some of this work on the fields. And they started painting the dugouts down at Dewey Field, and then they're going to be making the dugouts, the one to replace the one at Hyattville Field, and they'll paint that and put it down there. So work's continuing, but it seems like the rec director's been tied up a lot with this venture camp and stuff. So he hasn't put as much time in the fields as he'd like to, but Rio's been helping take care of some of that stuff. On page number 16.
On page 12, Mike?
Yeah.
I don't remember going over the update on 7.4 over the wells by Sucker Brook. By the trailer park, Crystal Beach.
Yeah, what was the question again, Rob?
I just don't remember going over that.
Oh, okay.
Have we gone any further with that?
They found one of the wells. Now John was gonna reach out to find a company that could come in there, and we could, because Heath remembers when the town cut the wires and kind of capped it off, and but they found one, and getting somebody in there to test them to see if it's if it's a good water, how much they can produce, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I totally forgot about those being.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Park that was there.
Somebody, I guess when there was a rumor that when the town moved everybody out of there, that there could have been some attempts to contaminate the wells, but it's been a long time, so we'll see. Hard telling, not knowing at this point. So I'm on page 16. To answer your question, Rob?
Yeah, that was the first I'd seen it, and I looked through this earlier today, and I totally missed it.
Okay, yep. That's actually, it was Keith and Russ having a conversation that Heath said, there's 2 wells over there. All right, so on July 15th and 16th, a group of us drove out. Heath, Dan Ducharme, Joey Smith, myself took 2 vehicles. We dropped off, Dan and Heath dropped off engine, or no. Yeah, Joey and Dan drove out engine 2. Heath and I followed the pickup, dropped it off at Harrob's in East Syracuse, and then continued on to Coropolis and paid for the 2001 Sutphen aerial. And at the next day, Dan and Heath took turns driving, and Joey sat in the seat with no pack in it, so I had to stuff blankets and stuff in there to, but everything went well. It's at Harrob's, and they got like a month or so, probably a month or 45 days to do some work on that, and then we're gonna have to go back out and get it. But nice truck. Thank you for the select board for approving that. I think it was a really wise decision, a good deal for that vehicle. And thanks to you guys for enduring that long trip. I'm gonna be able to take off a lot of this stuff out of this report. Now the ARPA stuff's off there, pretty much. We can start shortening this thing. Passive scholarship, there's a question. I listened to the select board meeting while I was on vacation. It was very interesting. I just sat there drinking coffee for 2.5 hours listening to you. But the purchase orders for that passive, there was a question about it. You had approved the purchase orders that evening, but it was on the agenda and there was a question about it. But I talked to Justin today, and he has to redo those purchase orders because it's a 50%, 50/50 grant, and so the town has to pay the full $3,800 and then be reimbursed.
Well, we rolled the dice on it, so.
I know, but I'm appreciative, but we're gonna get the new ones in front of you for those.
Because one was the full price and one was the half price,
Yeah.
so we had to pick one.
I know. I'm on page 17, paragraph C, 5 parcels of land. If anybody has anything to add to this, but the tree warden has met with the forester, and he asked me about marking the trees, if I wanted to mark, and I said yes, because that's gonna give us a kind of an idea of what we've got out there and what should be cut, or according to the forester, because they can't bid, somebody can't bid on it if it's not marked. So that's the reason why. And then he asked me about the other parcels of land. I said, if the forester's willing to go up and look at the other 3 parcels on top of Crystal Heights, go ahead, give us a report on what they found and if it's worth going in there and doing anything.
Can we go back to the Crystal Haven Common area for a second?
Yep.
What did you come up with the last complaint that was up there over the dock being over the pin?
I looked at it and I agree with you that it's like smidgen.
It's right on, okay, so that's fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we're on to page 18, under 13 miscellaneous, the stormwater runoff. Yeah, we just talked about that, so that letter will go out tomorrow. And barring your questions, that would be it.
I have a question. I don't know whether to ask it here or under select board's comments. On our road near Cody White's place, there is a fire hydrant. I don't know if it should be the water district or the town that should put a flag up or something, because that fire hydrant was so covered with hay. The hay was so high, you couldn't see it. If you happened to have had Billy mow that spot, he would have known it was there, but you might break a mower if you ran into the fire hydrant.
I will pass it on to Carrie.
So I wasn't sure who was responsible for
Yeah,
it.
the fire district.
Okay, thank you.
That reminds me of something, is the roadside mower back in action?
Negative. I don't even know, Evan's on vacation this week, so I'm not sure if they had, well, Jeff might be the answer, if they had somebody from Capital Tractor come up and diagnose it or not.
So
Jeff,
it wasn't the solenoid then?
no,
Okay.
the $50 solenoid did not work. Jeff, has that been assessed yet by Capital Tractor?
No, Capital has not been out.
Okay. I know Evan was working, trying to get him up there to look at it, so, all right.
Is that something that Fowler Services would look at?
Carrie? I'm not sure if it's a big ass mower, I'm not sure if they can work on that or not.
Well, Kerry used to work on Major John Russell's big equipment.
That's Gary's forte.
Okay, well, I can ask him.
He might be willing to come up and take a look at it.
He'd diagnose that in a heartbeat. He's really, really good at that stuff.
Yeah. Large equipment was his thing when he was working for John Russell. He was the guy that went out to the field and fixed things.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to
Everything
keep,
from bucket trucks.
And keep it local, I mean.
yeah, it'll save money from having to pay them to make a service call too.
Yep. No, I'll give him a shot tomorrow. Thanks for letting me know that.
Does that conclude your report?
It does.
So I have something, again, I don't know if I should do it under select board comments, but the town land that's at the end of Crystal Heights, that's 30 acres, something like that. Has that ever been perked?
I think so.
Those, yeah, I'm not sure if those have been perked or not up there. Jim, no, Jim, I'll talk to Jim. Jim Leamy will know.
Jim Leamy can provide an answer to that.
It just seems like this would be an ideal time to divide those into 3 10-acre lots.
They are, it's 3 separate parcels right now. They're all a little over 10 acres.
The only 10-acre lots I know of in town that are for sale on Applesauce Hill are 175 and 200.
Dollars.
Yeah. And they're way less accessible than these lots, and they have phenomenal views, but probably not as good as these. It would be nice to see those turn into tax-paying home sites.
Yeah. I'll ask Jim. I'll let you guys know.
Or, in my opinion, I'm one person on the board, but
That was recently discussed about if that sewer was up there and
Increasing
and
the
you could get
value of the properties.
if you could get water, yeah, it would increase the value of it, and it would create 3 building lots that would potentially create more revenue for the town.
But you basically have to get both sewer and water up there.
but it's the same on Applesauce Hill,
To make them valuable.
and those lots are,
Where's Applesauce Hill?
if you go past the transfer station,
Okay,
about a half a mile,
Up on the left.
it's a steep left. That's where Mike Finnegan, the PT, lives
Okay.
up there. Gary Bowen owns some of it. Meg Price owns some.
okay.
They just did some, well, I'm digressing, but there's some work going on out there.
All right, so we're gonna move on to purchase orders.
Ready?
I am ready.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 052623 to North Star Fireworks for the final payment of the July 6th fireworks for the sum of $6,250.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I would make a motion to approve purchase order 052565 to Champlain Valley Fuels for what appears to be 6,001 gallons of on-road diesel for the sum of $17,102.85.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mary Lee. Any discussion?
Funny gallonage, but
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
We couldn't make it through the week without the 1 gallon.
Yeah, it's just gonna put you over the top. That's just enough to get you back to the shop.
Do you need my initial on this?
Sure, yep.
Because it doesn't have a thing.
Yeah, just somewhere above that signature area.
What's today, 23rd? 24th?
22nd.
22nd.
So Jeff, you're authorized to order the fuel now. You've already done it.
Okay, check warrants. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it if you want. Mary Lee, you can. All right, I'll make a motion to approve warrant number 0718A for the sum of $68,023.64. Warrant number 0722R for the sum of $939. Warrant number 0718 for the sum of $47,662.11. Warrant number 0722 for the sum of $270,312.34. Warrant number 0711P for the sum of $26,498.26. And warrant number 0718P for the sum of $25,541.97.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded for the warrants. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mike, make sure these should be stapled together.
Okay.
The two-page ones, the multi-page warrants should be stapled together on the originals.
Okay.
They should also be stamped original, and they're not. I know I'm being picky, but that's how mistakes get made.
Right.
Both my select board comments have been handled, so we don't have to bring those up. There's only 6 tonight.
Huh?
There's only 6 warrants tonight.
You gonna run them?
I will.
You the runner?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I would've run right over and got those if I had a nice comfy pair of velvet mule slippers. You know, we should really all have those.
I only have 2 pair and they're too small for you.
You better get your sewing needle out.
It's not that, it's the sole that needs to be made.
I think she said you have no soul. That's what she said.
I think that's it.
At least not for slippers.
Actually, I talked to Holly and she wants to put them in the Historical Society.
That sounds like an appropriate place.
Is this something we can wear on Castleton, or I mean, on Ethan Allen Day?
On your ears, maybe, or your fingers.
Your ears.
Is she picking on the side of my ears, Mark?
I think so.
No question.
Some things you're just, I can't. If you saw my grandmother's and my dad's, you'd know why.
Mike, what is all this for? The fire department stuff?
That was here when we
It's
got
probably on the
here.
table.
Oh, it's not mine.
If you want it, he said you could
No,
have it.
I've wondered why I had it. Okay. That makes my pile a little smaller.
You notice that there's another table to your right? That was to make if you had to run around.
What's that?
There's a table to your right, so if you had to run around the table, you got a little more. I have no idea what's there.
Long ways to go.
You have 6, Mark?
Maybe you thought I was bringing too much stuff.
You have all 6, Mark?
Pardon?
Did you have all 6?
Yes. Yep, I counted.
Okay, so we'll move on to select board comments. Mary Lee,
Well, we got this, have you talked to Martha on your,
that's an executive session item.
okay?
Anything else?
No?
Rob?
I think I'm good.
Mark?
I'm good.
Bob?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Go for it.
Will we be thinking about, taking our vacation day of a select board meeting? We usually do that every August, where we only do warrants and when it was absolutely necessary. I realize we can't do it at the first meeting, because there's gonna be 3 weeks in between now and the first meeting, but it's something to think about. Maybe at that first meeting, we can decide if the second meeting in August, we'll take a little break from all this stuff. The second thing is, the reappraisals that I read, they're gonna start this coming Wednesday. I've had numerous people ask me, and I thought they told us at the last meeting they were gonna start right off the bat, but they haven't started, have they?
What's that document say? They have a date here. In our packet, we had that memo from the assessors department that told us what
Yeah.
their start date was.
They're gonna start this coming Wednesday, I think, is what it
Yes.
says, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. The decision on the Hubbardton residents paying for the season pass, the final decision, we're just wondering, have they come to a final decision, and who came to that? At the last meeting, nobody really wanted to take responsibility for changing the season pass rate for the Hubbardton residents. They had all looked at one another, and so somebody made that decision. I'm just wondering who it was, or what committee, and what the final decision was.
So,
Obviously, it can't be answered right now, but I'd like an answer to that.
I listened to the tape, and Martha said it was her in the rec commission. It came up at a rec commission meeting. And so now, I guess, the decision was to, if it wasn't, they could simply notify Hubbardton that it was to undo that. But that was their decision based upon they weren't part of the school district, and now they're out of if I recall what she was saying during that meeting, and they were no longer, had any investment in the school.
And there was something about $1,500 that the town used to give the rec department that they don't give anymore, or something like that.
No, they're given $1,500, but whether $1,500 is the right amount, I don't know.
Well, and that was specifically so that the Hubbardton youth could participate in Castleton youth events at the Castleton rate.
Didn't
I
they
don't know if
have,
that should be extended to a Crystal Beach pass.
didn't they have something special with the transfer station?
Well, they're they pay, what is it, roughly 20% of the cost of the,
26%, I think is the last thing.
there's a percentage that they
So it
pay.
has nothing to do with the other.
The one that has nothing to do with Crystal Beach. That's all pertinent to the transfer station.
So my answer to the question is, the rec commission changed it back to the full amount? Is that the answer?
If I remember listening to the meeting, and Martha, the question was asked, and Martha said that they did it at a rec commission meeting.
And their rationale behind it
They
was,
being,
The rec commission.
they being the rec commission.
Correct.
They being the rec commission is what I'm hearing, right, Mike?
Correct. Because I remember you having that conversation during that meeting, and then John Alexander said something, he thought that was well within their authority or something like that.
Right, we discussed it at our last meeting
Okay,
and didn't see
We
anything wrong
agreed
with it.
to it.
Right,
they're not residents.
they're not residents. And $60 is still a really good deal for that facility.
First, I think it's 75, but don't hold me to that,
For a non-resident.
for a non-resident.
Still a really good deal, and
That
that's
is.
for a car. So, the whole family,
Yeah, I
or
forget.
however many people are in that.
Many people as their seat belts.
Yep.
Yeah,
So if you've got a Yukon Denali, you can bring 9 people in.
pretty fair deal. It's a beautiful facility, well-maintained.
Anything else?
I got a couple more.
Keep going.
Mike, I don't know if you got the question or not, but did you follow up on whether the town pays road tax or not on our highway trucks. I think I got the answer is we do not pay road tax on those highway trucks.
I believe
You
that,
know what I'm talking about?
I do, I passed that over to the accounting office, and I thought they had responded to you on that.
I think they did, if I can read the paperwork right. And the guy from the state says the highway department is not responsible for paying road tax.
Sounds right,
I just want to follow up on that.
okay, let me,
I just need you to follow up on that.
I'm making a note.
Which is about $1 a gallon, right? But at the same time, it's gonna
It's
void
pretty high.
but it's gonna void the warranty on all those trucks if you don't use dyed fuel. Right?
We asked that when we picked up the,
I'm not,
no, this is something different, I think.
I'm not talking about dyed fuel or not dyed fuel.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the tax that you pay at the pump.
I think it was a question on the,
Oh, go ahead.
wasn't it a question because of the discrepancy of the price on the fuel bid that we got?
That's right. Yep, exactly.
I made a note.
Where I'm going with this stuff.
Yeah, I made a note, because
Okay.
I think Karen sent you the response, but I don't remember what it said.
So
Okay.
we should be
I
getting dyed
still
fuel
like
but not paying that tax.
Or we got on-road this time, but if the price difference was such that the off-road, if we're not paying the road tax, if it was, that would make it cheaper than the on-road? Because this year we bought on-road.
The tax is about $1 a gallon.
Yeah, I don't know,
And the price that we got quoted was significantly cheaper than the other quote that we got for on-road. So I think that's where Bob's question came from, is how can they sell it so cheap?
So the supplier must have known.
Yeah.
So the question was, who's paying
One
for that
supplier.
tax?
One supplier must have known that versus the other supplier.
Yeah.
I just want to know if we know if we're supposed to pay it or not. So that was my question. The other thing, Mike, is I still got the same old question on the Old Town office. Has
Yep.
the state ever signed off on that in regards to the mold issue there?
I did, I called
I've been asking for this for 2 years, and I'm gonna get a little scared because nobody's come forth with any paperwork.
no, I did call the State of Vermont Department of Health, and I posed the question through a voicemail, and the lady did call me back
Okay.
when I was traveling, so I haven't called her back yet. But I did get a call back
That's
from
fine.
them. Because there is, when I called the state, there's actually a place for mold, questions about mold, so I know I was in the right area.
Okay, I just want to stay on top of it. I don't want to let it go by the wayside again.
Yeah, I just gotta call her back, Bob. She did call, but they did return my call.
Okay. That's all I got. That's enough.
Okay, I'm all set. The two things I had were already covered. Items for follow-up?
I got a list.
We talked about some speed limit signs or pedestrian signs on Drake Road a couple meetings ago. Is that anything in the works?
I don't know if we ever made a decision to do anything with it. I kind of jokingly said it on that steep area. No, I take that back. I did talk, Jeff and I were driving up there and we're talking about when you get to the top of the hill there, to start putting them out there. So that's something I think it just has to be ordered. I'm not sure if they have any up there, but when Jeff and I went up and looked at a paving thing, we talked about it there. So I'll follow up with you, Jeff, because I'm not sure, you may have some signs, I don't know.
On Drake Road. This is just for information. Marcia O'Neill was heading home, and out comes a bear. Right up like this to her. And down the road a little bit was a woman walking. So there's bears up there, and if people are walking, it's a little scary.
Well, I had one across the road right in front of me on River Street last fall. I mean, right down the road from my house.
And a friend of mine, a pickup truck, a 1-ton pickup truck, he broke the side window to get to a jar of peanut butter that was not open.
They do have a good nose.
Well, you don't wanna eat the stuff that's already opened.
No, but I'm thinking if it can do that to a car window, what can it do to a house window?
Anything they want.
It was Captain Kangaroo there and a dancing bear.
Maybe. Maybe
I
it's
saw
just
that bear,
Winnie the
too.
Pooh.
I've been drinking, but I saw that bear.
The one on Drake Road visits all the garbage cans from where the condos start on that end. He
Yep.
knocks those over 2-3 days a week, makes his way down through.
Jim Dorn's got pictures of him on his front enclosed porch at his house looking in
Looking for peanut butter.
He's over peanut butter.
out behind me?
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got for action items? I'm gonna call the planning commission chair and get the ball rolling on the UDR with Mary Lee and whoever they decide. Who else has action items? Nobody? Well, Mike's got a
I got
list.
a lot of them.
He's always got a list. Nobody else on the board? Okay,
Think we had anything?
then, I think we need an executive session for personnel.
And then you need one for that too?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yep. I got multiple personnel ones too, so.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Session for personnel.
I make a motion that we go into executive session
We'll get a hold of Chuck.
for personnel
Okay.
to include the select board and the town manager.
I have a,
For
do I have a
personnel.
motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.